So we're doing that. I'm punctual. It is 9:10. As I said, I've had pretty much everyone. It's slowed down as far as people rolling in for our introduction to tech students tuning in today. We have Malina, a Las Vegas developer who went through the PunchCode program last year, and we have Mario, who is works with PunchCode. What's your official title, Mario?
Program manager.
Program manager. I'll write that down. So we have Mario, and he's going to lead this Q&A. And your questions, again, post them in the chat in the upper right-hand corner. You can push the chat button. Melina can see them, get prepared for them.
Yeah.
But Mario, the show is yours. Fire away.
Awesome. So, yeah, thanks, Mike. Thanks, Malina, for being on this morning. I know I pestered you a lot to get you on here. So I just want to start out by asking you, because I know like you had like a pretty cool journey into tech. Like not only has your brother been doing development forever, but you actually decided to go to school before you decided to go to PunchCode. So what kind of swayed you to make that leap?
So I actually graduated high school in 2018. So I went to UNLV, majoring in computer science. I lasted about a year, and as I was going, I was working full time and a full time student. But my brother, my older brother, he's always been into programming as well, but he's never really took it serious enough for him to call himself a programmer. So he was looking into coding boot camps, and at first we were looking at one in San Francisco called Hack Reactor. And then we remember there was an iron yard out here, and then we looked more into it, and we found out that it had turned into PunchCode. So he had made the decision to go, and I had made the decision to take the bootcamp route instead of the traditional 4-year bachelor's degree in computer science.
Awesome. So how did that fare out for you? Like you made that decision. Do you regret not going to university?
Not at all. I'm literally at the same place I'd be at in what would take me 4 years than what took me 3 months.
Okay. And I saw we had a question from John Cross. I think John's going to be in our fall cohort. He was asking you, did you have any prior coding experience before you attended PunchCode?
Not really. I knew like just HTML, a little bit of JavaScript just from Codecademy. You do get pre-work on Codecademy whenever you do attend PunchCode. I think I went through like a quarter of that because I was not ready to do it. But yeah, no, I didn't have much experience at all.
Awesome. So when you got the PunchCode, like what's the experience like there? So going from UNLV to PunchCode, what was the difference you saw?
It was like full time, so it felt like it was my job, and I knew I wanted to be there too. It was stuff that I wanted to be learning as well.
Okay, I think so. Mike had our next question. What was your big breakthrough in learning?
So within the course, we learn like first HTML and CSS first, and then we go to JavaScript. And then after we learn JavaScript, we put it all together in React. And I think nothing clicked until we moved on to React, and then everything clicked. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah, you are. So let me ask you this. After you graduated, what was your work path like? So what did you do?
Okay. So right after graduation from PunchCode, we had our demo day there. And then there's also Las Vegas Developers, which is Mike's event. So I went and presented over there, and then I was contacted by someone, an entrepreneur over there. She had asked me and my group to create an app for her. So we did that for about a month. But within that month, it was Tungo. So Mario and Josh had introduced me to a company called Tungo. It's a music company, and they were looking for developers. So I interviewed with them, and then I ended up getting the job. I was there for about 6 months, and then I moved on to another company where I'm working at now. But yeah, it's been ongoing.
Yeah, you've been bouncing around since you left PunchCode. So I have Joseph. He's actually in our May 4th cohort. So our next cohort is starting up. So besides wanting to know the transition from school to work, what other important skills do you think is important in helping you find a job?
You're constantly learning. So I would, if you're applying for a job, make sure you know the technologies that they're asking for. I did have an interview a couple months ago for this one place, and they had like a PHP, and I didn't know anything about PHP, but I researched it for like an hour, 2 hours before my interview, and I ended up nailing it on the technical part. So you're all constantly learning. Make sure you know the technologies that you're applying for. What's another thing? And also just network. I think that's the big important part is keep in touch with all the other developers in your area.
Okay. And then we had a question from Tanya Horton. She asked, so we already know what paid projects she worked on, but what do you find the biggest challenge as a developer?
Paid projects. I had the contract that we were talking about, and then I've worked for 2 companies, so I get paid to work there, but they're not really projects. But the biggest thing for me was getting the confidence to hit the ground running in the career field. Because again, we are just coming out of a boot camp. We're junior developers. So I didn't have much confidence, but I think my first place of work did give me that confidence.
Wait, forgive me if I don't get his name correct. Aloha. Just gonna say aloha. So, how important is it to collaborate with others on projects?
Oh, you're going to need to collaborate. Most of in the workforce, you're working with the dev team. So you have to be able to agile workforce.
And then Mike had another question. What's been one of the hardest tech things you to learn?
I don't know.
Besides PHP.
Yeah, PHP. I didn't know anything about that. Most of the stuff that I do is in React anyhow. So maybe I think it had to be that PHP.
So I know coming into PunchCode, like you said, you had no experience, and in your class, I think that was the first PunchCode class that actually had more women in it. So what was that like? Because technology has a underrepresented underrepresentation of women. So like, what is that like being a woman in technology? How did PunchCode help into that?
Yeah, my first work of place, not the contract work. I was the only girl there in the entire office. So it's a little different. I feel like I don't know. There's not many girls, so seeing women in the tech field makes me happy. But yeah, you're gonna battle out there for some opportunities.
Then Mike wanted to know, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
I hope to be a senior developer, maybe sooner than 5 years, but on that 5-year mark.
And then 10, you're going to own your own company by then?
Oh yeah, maybe make my own startup.
I was just playing.
Maybe a Mario.
So, okay, so when you did your final project, how stressful was that, and how prepared did you feel after the first 9 weeks?
So it was a bit stressful the first week. It's kind of hectic. You're wanting to do everything. You're planning everything out on your own. You're making it yourself as well. But the thought process of that was just you have to have the game plan in the beginning of what exactly you need in your minimal viable product, your MVP. And then from there, you just start knocking those tasks out, and then your features can come in next. Wait,
I think I know the answer to this next question. What was the favorite project you built? I think I know, but I'm gonna let you answer it anyway, because I could be wrong.
yeah, the capstone project was pretty cool.
Yeah. So with that capstone project, because I know you presented in front of the Las Vegas developers group as well.
Mhm.
What was your confidence like?
From me presenting at PunchCode, it's kind of just doing the same thing. I mean, just new people.
All right. So John is asking, besides the prereqs that's required, like what we assign before the cohort, what do you recommend studying up on before beginning the actual punch code class?
That we learn. I would start doing, so I know like on the prereqs, they have just like, the Codecademy walkthroughs and all that. I would go on YouTube as well and then just like find little tutorials to do just completely by yourself. But I would do those tutorials. I used to go to lecture, do the project at PunchCode, whatever homework we had. I'd finish that at PunchCode before going home, and then I'd go home and then find a YouTube tutorial or any tutorial online and re-implement that just so that I better understood everything that we were learning in PunchCode.
So with Canna, what was your role on your final project?
So we had a group of 3. I don't know. I was just I did full stack. I did some of the front end, actually, I did majority of the back end work, and one of my teammates did majority of the front end work, and then we had another teammate that did the database.
Okay, so because you're a developer now, you're working before you got into PunchCode. Is there a difference in culture?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Is there a difference in the culture and work environment, like where you are now, so your current job? Is there a difference in how your team works, what the work life is like compared to any other job you've had?
Oh, definitely. Like today, I can be on this call for however long I want, as long as I get my 40 hours a weekend. So it's very flexible in the tech industry. But I've never had that before in any other work industry.
Okay. And then I got a question from Lawrence. So the last question was from Josh. We all know Josh. Hi, Josh. Lawrence asks, what do you see as the biggest problem that tech can solve? So you're saying you want to do a startup, right? So what do you see your startup doing and solving?
See, but I have like different ideas, and it's not like a huge problem that tech can solve, but it's like, oh, that'd be cool.
Hey, that's still an effort, though, you know.
I'm gonna keep my startup ideas a secret.
I was trying to create a new startup. Come on now. Okay, so what is the full skill set you left PunchCode knowing how to do?
So it is technically full stack with the Node backend and React in the front end, and everything else that's within it.
And how are you using that today?
Today, well, my current job, I do have React in the front end. I'm actually using AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. So it's pretty much serverless. So you don't really need a Node backend. It's all kind of built in their add-ons for AWS.
So when you came to PunchCode, I know like you can go online and see what a developer can make, like what their salaries look like. What was your expectation when you came to PunchCode?
PunchCode, I just wanted to get my foot in the door. So I wasn't really worried about how much I was making my first job. And then again, I did my 5 months, I did 5 months there, and then I was like, all right, I want more. And then I started looking for another job, and then a month later, I went ahead and moved on.
You made major leap in salary though with that move.
Yes, I had a major leap. I had about a 200% raise.
And as you said, you're working from home, so you didn't have to worry about like being laid off or anything like that.
Yeah, no. So I actually the lockdown started, or quarantine, whatever lockdown. It started before my first day at my new job that I'm working at now. So I just started remotely.
Look at you. And how is it working remotely compared to working in an office with others?
I kind of miss being in the office just because I can talk to other devs. But I mean, we could utilize like Zoom and all that, so it's basically the same.
So I know we have in this call we have a few people that's actually looking to join PunchCode or are already enrolled. So what's some advice that you have for people looking to make the decision to join, or and then what's your advice for people that's going to be joining?
So if you're looking to join, again, I don't regret it at all. I was going to UNLV, that 4-year thing, and then instead I went to PunchCode, and I don't regret it at all. And it's again 3 months. That's all it takes to get you rolling on the career field. And then what the people who are going?
Yeah, what do you have for people that are already enrolled? What advice do you have for them?
Oh, again, I would just say, like, as you're learning, it's going to be difficult. But again, just I would focus on also doing projects outside of what you're doing for homework at PunchCode, just so you better understand everything.
And then we have Janie. She asks, how do you keep your knowledge up to date?
I watch a lot of videos, and I read a lot of documents as well. I'm pretty sure the past 2 weeks, more of my work days have been like 5 hours of research and 3 hours of actual coding.
And you mentioned earlier, you know, going to meetups and like networking was a big part. So this next question kind of plays into that, as in how long did it take you to get a job?
Um, I mean, contractor work. So right after our demo day at PunchCode, I did the demo day at the Las Vegas Developers Meetup, which was Thursday, Friday, 2 days after. And that's whenever I got contacted. And I think we had our contract all signed and ready to go a week and a half after I graduated from PunchCode.
And how long was it like when you got your first like stationary job? So your job at Tunga?
It was about 5 weeks. So I wasn't really looking whenever I did have that contract work. But as I was doing it is whenever I was contacted by Tungo. Wait, that was not 5 weeks, maybe 4.
All right. And Tanya just asked another question. Let me pull up this chat. She asks, what things do you research and read to keep up to date or keep your knowledge up?
So it's mainly on stuff that I'm working on now. I have to keep up to date with, for example, there's a lot of like class components stuff still in React. Oh, I'm being technical. React has changed their way of implementing things. So you have to keep up to date with that just because a lot of the new employers, they want you to use the new technologies. I have to research a lot on like AWS database stuff as well, like SQL, going from relational to non-relational. Oh, I don't know how to say it without being super technical. I'm very bad at that.
When you were working on your final project, no, actually, 365,
Mhm.
they call it, but you're working on that and you're trying to learn AWS. Did you think you'd be using AWS after you learned it for that project?
Eventually, I mean, yeah, because AWS, it is pretty common nowadays. I just got lucky enough to have learned some of it doing an old project, and then having that ability to use it now in my job now.
Let's see how many other questions we have. So we don't have any other questions right now. So what can you say? So being a woman in tech, how do you see yourself in 5 years of helping get more women into technology? I know you're a fan of that. So
I'm sorry.
how can you see yourself helping more women get into technology?
Oh, I like spreading the word. I tell all my friends, my women friends, like you should do it as well. Um, I mean, again, it could be intimidating to most females, but once you're in, and as long as you know what you're doing, you're going to get the respect.
Awesome. So I don't see any other questions.
Mario, you gotta scroll. You gotta scroll down in the chat, and the question should refresh.
Let's see. So I have another one. Oh, here we go. Right here. So I have another one from Kaylee. What kind of questions were asked in interviews?
So with interviews, you have like your personal, them just getting to know you as a person, which are your normal questions that you'd have anywhere else. But you also go through technical interviews, which are they give you a question and sometimes it's on a whiteboard, sometimes it's on a piece of paper. But they'll ask you a question and you have to implement on how you'd solve that problem. Or again, they'd ask you some like problem solving things like if I were to fill this room with with water, how many gallons would it be? They just want to see your thought process of everything.
And then Jamie asked, how has COVID-19 affected your job?
Again, I'm not working in the office. No one's working in the office. We're just working remotely. But since I'm a developer, I'm actually rewriting an old site into new technologies in React and AWS. So it hasn't very much affected my job. I'd be doing the same thing just in the office.
So we have another question here. Did you typically go home after a class day and look up the videos on the same day on the topics that you learned the same day? How were you reinforcing material more? So how did you reinforce what you learned that day?
Oh, okay. So like HTML and CSS. So whenever I first learned that, I made just like a normal web page, static, completely static. And then we started learning JavaScript. So then I would go back home and then add on to my static HTML and CSS that I did the prior week, as we would keep learning more stuff. So then I added JavaScript, which is like functionality. And then again, once we started on React, you're going to have some days where you finish your projects really early, your homework projects. So that's the days that you really need to dig in on your own time and figure out exactly what you want to do. So I would just go on to like Google and I'd be like beginner React projects. And then I just start on whatever I wanted to on that list.
So how much time do you spend working past the 40-hour mark?
So 40 hours, yes, that's it on my job. But then I put in maybe another 20 hours on just like my side projects or learning what I want to learn. So about 60 hours a week of coding. Sometimes it's a lot more. It depends on my motivation during that week.
So I know that you're a mentor for an alumni mentor group for PunchCode. How easy was it for you to say yes to that?
Oh, it wasn't even like a question. I was already in. I don't know, something about like giving back. And I want to help people. So if you have any questions, just ask. But yeah, just being there for people within the same community, the tech community.
We'll go through and refresh and see if we have questions. Oh, Brianna said thank you. All right, I think that's it for questions. Last call for questions, everyone. Yeah, I think that's it. Mike, any other questions on your end, or Josh?
I'm good. Malina, I just want to say thank you very much. You've been very generous with your time, and Also, I'm very happy that the Las Vegas Developers Demo Day got you started in your first contract work. I didn't know that, and I think that just shows the power of networking and going out there and putting yourself out there, not being afraid. I remember with your presentation, and I actually had the students in this class watch your presentation, and it was being fearless and showing off the cool things you had done. That really impressed me, and obviously impressed your first employer, your first contract work. So, congrats on that.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for having me.
Yeah.
We have one more question.
Oh, yeah.
So, what surprised you when you got into an actual coding position? What were you not expecting, and what was different than you expected?
Oh, my voice cracked. Whenever I got into my first position, to be honest, I felt dumb, like, because I was around other developers who have been doing it for years and years and years, and they're just talking about all these technical terms, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm lost. And then about 2 weeks later, I noticed I was also jumping in on those conversations about all those tech terms and everything else. So I think that was the big thing is coming out of PunchCode, you're going to meet a lot more developers and you're going to learn from them. But again, I did feel a little dumb in the beginning. What was the other parts of the question?
Let me go back to it. Wait, where's the question at? Oh, here it is. So, what were you not expecting, and what was different than you expected?
Oh, I don't think I even answered that question. That was pretty much what I was expecting. Again, I do a lot of research, so I follow a lot of like YouTubers that are coders, and they talk about their whole day, and it's basically the same as theirs. But yeah, again, with a normal day in a developer job, you have your stand up in the morning, and then you just go and work, and then get your tasks done. Whenever it's done, you can go home. That's how it was at my first job as well.
That's great. Yeah, that sums it up. A lot of experience that developers have, and I posted some of those day in the life YouTube videos for our learners in this Introduction to Tech course. I do think those are always inspiring.
Yeah.
So again, I want to thank you so much for being so generous with your time. We'll wrap this call up. I'll stop the call. I'll shut it down. But thank you so much. Have you joined the Las Vegas Developers Slack, Malina?
I'm there.
Good. So I'm going to have our students join that Las Vegas Developers Slack, and I know you're a mentor at PunchCode as well. So the PunchCode students that go through the program can reach out to you as a mentor, and also anyone that joins the Las Vegas Developers Slack. For everyone on the call, I'll post those links inside of our Slack, our Introduction to Tech Slack, and make sure that this video goes up there as well. Thank you again, once again, so much for being generous with your time.
Yeah, of course.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.